welcome and thank you for joining us here at what we consider our Tech Talks live event. A little background, we since 2005, we've been doing lunch and learns, in-person lunch and learns, and through COVID, beginning of March, we found that lunch and learns weren't going to happen for a period of time. We were hoping we were going to be able to pick back up in September with in-person events, and that, of course, is just not able to happen. So we continue to run with these monthly webinars, having a couple of our great partners with us today. And as you've probably seen the invite, and that's how you got here, but we do hold them monthly, and we rotate our partners through the events. So please. Hopefully you appreciate and learn something today, but hopefully you can check us out in the months to come, because we'll have other vendors join us. So a couple of pieces of information today. Again, we have our folks from Five9 and StarLeaf, and I'll let them introduce themselves. Mike, if you want to start over at Five9.
Sure. Hey, everybody. Mike Belargin, Mike Beat All My Friends, here at your friends at Five9. We're a leader in the contact as a service space. I manage the partner relationship with our influential partners like Joe and team. With me today, I have Dan Peterson. Dan?
Yep, you might be muted, Dan.
Good morning. I just had to get to that mute button. It was disappeared and had to pop it up. Good pleasure to meet you all. Looking forward to a great discussion today.
Thanks. And then Paul Bernardo, who's our senior solution consultant, will run us through a quick fire demo. Paul?
Yeah, absolutely. To echo what Dan said, very happy to be on, and hopefully we generate a lot of good questions, good conversation. Thanks so much.
Great.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks. Michael, Andrea, which one do you want to say hello first?
I'll jump in. Joe, it's always tough when you've got two sets of speakers with the same name, isn't it? It's good. And the funny thing is, it's only my mum who ever calls me Michael. Everybody else calls me Mike. So that's just the thing. So I'm Mike McCarthy. I'm VP for North America for StarLeaf. Yeah, I know I sound English, and because I am English, but I live in New Jersey. Okay, so I'm an adopted American. We're going to just talk to you. Today I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about the service provider's perspective. So we're a UC video conferencing supplier. And I just want to give you, I know everybody's got their view on how COVID's done. I just want to step back and show you what we were seeing at the same time, because whatever you did, ours was 20, 50x in capacity and stuff like that. And I have Andrea with me today, Andrea is our marketing manager for the America.
Hi, I'm Andrea. I manage marketing here for StarLeaf in North America. Support Mike and the team. Thanks everyone for coming.
Excellent, thank you. And we'll be hearing more from them. And then the Cdvs crew in attendance. I'll let again Joe Spampanato. Some of you know me. For the folks that don't, I am considered the president and mostly the chief bottle washer. Wear many hats here, but appreciate you coming here. So Kelly, if you want to kick it off.
Thank you everybody for coming. I'm Kelly Kuchar with Corporate Data Invoice. I've been with the company for basically all of my life, and I do what needs to be done, even help go wash the bottles sometimes.
There you go. Christy?
Hi, everyone. I'm Christine. Nice to meet you, and thanks for joining us today. Again, we all wear many hats, so we do it as a team, and hopefully we can help you find the right solution for you.
Rachel?
Hi, everyone. I am Rachel, Client Specialist with Corporate Data, and like Christy and Joe and Kelly, I wear multiple hats as well.
Excellent. Pete?
Hi guys, Pete Lankarge, down in Rhode Island, Client Specialist covering Rhode Island, Mass, and Connecticut. And thank you all for joining us today.
And we have a special guest. We have Manny Spampanato. He has joined us. So Manny, if you want to say hello.
Hi, hello everybody. Most of you might know me. Manny Spampanato, operations here.
Excellent.
Welcome.
All right. So today's agenda, we're going to do our best on keeping on track here. We did our welcome between a quarter of the hour and about 11 o'clock. Little introduction here as we're going through it with Cdvs. Then we're going to turn it over to Mike and Andrea over at StarLeaf. They'll present between somewhere around 10 past and 20 of the hour, and then turn it over to Five9. At the end, we'll do some Q&A and raffles. And I do have a couple of housekeeping things. So if you wouldn't mind, once we get into the presentations, definitely, Christy, are we muting microphones, or will the attendees be muting their own microphones?
We'll let everybody mute their microphones, and if we notice that someone doesn't mute, we can mute them for you.
Okay. And you don't have to, but I figured you may want to mute your video during the presentations, and then we'll have people turn their videos back on at the end. We are recording the session, so this will be going out to everybody that is on the meeting here. You can share that. We actually post it to our YouTube channel, so you can share it or review it after the session here. We will be presenting a Grubhub card for all the attendees. So I believe it's a $25 Grubhub card. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. So thank you. That's a little thank you for attending. We will also be doing a raffle at the end, and the way we do it, everyone that attends will get a chance to win the raffle. We'll put your name in the hat, if you will, and we'll put extra names, your name, every time you ask a great question. So the more questions you ask, the more great questions you ask, we'll put your name in, and you'll have a better chance to win one of two raffles. We will open up for questions after the presentations, just in case you think of something at the end. Don't worry, we'll open it up to more questions at the end, and then as I mentioned, each qualifying question will get an additional chance to win. For the folks that haven't worked with us, little quick snapshot of why Cdvs, and really plain and simple. I know there's a lot of words on the slide here, but really it's about the customer. It's about you. It's not about us. It's about helping our prospects and customers learn about the technology. Right. This is what we do. So Rick, I know what you do, right? We do not work in your space. We focus on delivering, at this point, unified communications, whether it's on-prem or in the cloud. That's our focus. We do it every day. We're helping launch projects every day in that space. And at this point, doing it for we're over 17 years now. I think we can claim we are the professionals in this field, right? So that's why we're in business with a focus of helping our customers launch unified communications. We definitely take a consultative approach. We really act as part of your team. We assist with project management and implementation. We are an ongoing resource. So many times a customer may have chosen us for StarLeaf or for Five9 in the contact space, but we'll get a call. Hey, you know what? We need additional internet connectivity, right? We're not happy with our provider of internet or some other solution, Wi-Fi solution or firewall solution, right? We do get those questions on an ongoing basis, and that's what we're here for. Right? We take a little chuckle on this one. We take a high touch approach, but of course today we can't touch anybody, right? So hopefully we get back to the ability to shake hands, hug one another. It's amazing. After 17 years of doing this, we've created a lot of friendships, and when we walk in, and hopefully we get to this point again, when we walk into an organization that we've been doing business. Really, it's rarely a handshake. It's a lot of times a hug. So we've really built some fantastic relationships, and hopefully we can get back to that high touch approach. Extremely high customer retention rate. We're definitely passionate about what we do, and for the most part, it really boils down to doing business what we consider the right way. It starts at the top. it has to start with honesty, integrity, and accountability. We definitely want to be your partner, not just a vendor. Again, that goes in what I just mentioned, right? Really, that consultative approach, continuing to be there, not just sign you up for the sale, but continuing to be there after the fact. Right? And then a little bit about a little joke at the end here, right? BYOC means bring your own cloud, doesn't it? I thought it meant bring your own coffee, right? So a little fun at the end. But again, thank you for joining us. I'm running over a little bit, but I am going to turn this over to Mike. Mike, are you ready?
I am absolutely ready, and I will give you those couple of minutes back, okay?
There you go.
Yeah, and I'll try and keep us on schedule. So let me start my presentation off. So I just want to check with every hands up, if you can all see that, okay? That is good. So let me just check which button I'm pressing that one. So what I thought I'd do today was, I know we've all living through this COVID thing since March, and the world seems like it kind of ended. I guess from a client customer perspective, you would have been doing a bunch of stuff in the background. And I just wanted to give you just a view from a service provider in a video conferencing company, what we did at the time, where the challenges we saw that were going on. And also now we're starting to plan for the future when people are starting to go back to their offices. We've got this new hybrid environment. So I just wanted to give you a view from the back end, talking about reliability, security, and a bunch of stuff like that with video conferencing environments, and then literally tell you what we're seeing in the future and what we're planning for moving ahead. Okay? So from a client side, I mean, listen, back in up until the second week in March, everybody was it was business as usual, most of your collaboration, I guess, was done inside your offices, in your conference rooms, with some people working from home, but that was the core of where your business was. Third week in March, it all changed, okay? Everybody, all of a sudden, and it was crazy for us, it was probably crazy for most service providers, but all of a sudden, everybody went home. And you've got all this stuff. Does my internet work right? Have I got the right capacity? How many people are working at home? All that type of stuff. And it was like shoehorned into everybody within like a week. Oh my God, we've got to do this. We found a bunch of clients who had a plan for this. And we found probably the majority of people didn't really have a plan for this. Never kind of saw it coming. Fast forward to October, we're seeing this new hybrid environment now. And this is where people are, you're going to have a mix of people. Maybe 30% of your people are going to go back to your offices. The rest of the people working at home. And all the challenges that brings on this comm side of stuff, where in your office, you're in a nice, safe, secure environment. Back at home, it may not be so secure. You might have your kids they might be doing their schooling on that, and you've got all this shared environment. So that's the kind of vision we see. So we were here in the start of that, and I'm just going to give you a little idea on, what we're starting to see from the customers out in the field and what we're planning around that piece there. From our perspective, as a service provider, it all kind of went chaos in March, and we literally within the space of a week, we had like 50x people trying to use our network, okay? And we needed to be able to upscale into that, but at the same time we're very tight with our SLAs. We're very much an engineering company, okay? So things like SLAs and security are really important to us. So trying to keep our SLA in place while we expanded into that, because I don't think it's a matter of just giving loads of service out, but the service has to be of a certain standard, and we won't do it unless there is a certain standard. So that was a key thing that happened. This is what we're seeing into October. You've now got this multi-vendor environment, okay? So whereas when you're in your office, you might have been it'd be great if you were a StarLeaf user, you might have been a Teams user, a Zoom user, or some other user, and it was quite nice contained and you had control of it. Now you've got people going home, they're using some things, and then they're using other things with vendors and other things and suppliers and stuff outside. So you've got people trying to do Zoom calls, StarLeaf calls, Teams calls, GoToMeeting calls, WebEx calls, all in the same environment, okay? So right at the end, I'm going to talk about I'm going to tell you how I do it from my home here and how I manage doing that. For us as well as a company, security was never an afterthought, okay? Security was never ever an afterthought. We planned everything right from secure. So as we grew into this COVID environment, security was a foundation for us there. So we didn't think after, oh my God, we've got security. How do we fix that? It was always for us to do that. So that's kind of what I'm going to run through, just this little journey we've gone on as a service provider, and then just give you some ideas of how we manage this multi-vendor environment at the end there, because I can't believe anybody's going to go back to just a pure Teams environment, a pure Zoom environment. It's not what we're seeing as we cover across our whole business, and that's globally. It really is.
Hey, Mike, let me just a note, and maybe I wasn't clear. I want to make sure people do have the opportunity to ask questions, so you won't mind if they unmute and speak up, correct?
No, far away. And
Okay.
is there a prize for the toughest question of the day? Do they get extra raffle tickets for that?
I think we can always do something like that. That'd be great. All right.
Okay, yeah, so listen, I'm happy for any questions as we go through here, okay?
All right,
so
thank
the first thing I want to start with is going to talk about, capacity and reliability. Everybody in the whole marketplace had to up their capacity literally overnight. And there's some key things that I think it's very much about architecture of your cloud that enables you to do that in a safe and a secure and reliable way. So I'm not picking on anybody in particular because it's all public domain stuff, right? So I'm going to throw up a bunch of stuff that you can just pull off the web. And I'm not knocking Zoom because Zoom has become a household name in video conferencing and actually have lifted up the whole industry. But this was 3 weeks ago on Monday morning, and this was Zoom basically had complete outages across the US, and it was unfortunate. We had a bunch of calls out of Georgia because all the schools went back and everybody tried to log in, nothing was working and stuff like that. So, and I'm not saying that's bad, I'm saying they have tried to expand into such an expansive market, and I actually think they've done a good job. But we kind of looked at things a little differently, and I'll talk a bit about architecture and how it enables us to be slightly different to that. Same with Teams. I see a lot of Teams stuff going on. Not so much in the US, very much in Europe. There was a lot of Teams stuff in Europe where they were just having outages and stuff like that, and that was a problem. Couple more Zoom ones. And as I say, I'm not picking on them. There's just that because everybody knows them. There's more stuff about them on the web than anybody else. So the question is, how do you grow and expand and scale up, but still keep your SLAs in place? And I mean, we at StarLeaf have a Five9's SLA, and I'll talk a little bit about that in the next thing. I think from our perspective, it's about architecture. Okay, so this is just a map of the world showing where we at StarLeaf operate. I think what the key difference between us and other people is that we own the so this call we're on right now. Everything you're using is StarLeaf. The hardware that's in the data centers belongs to us. The software that's running, we don't own the internet stuff, but it's our job to make sure we've got backup and we're resilient with that. I think what happened with people like Zoom is they spin up software on, they use Amazon Web Services. Microsoft and Teams are using Azure because it's their own thing. And I think what you do is you spin up, and we could quite easily grab some Amazon Web Service base, spin up our software because it's software in the cloud. But I think in that March period, everybody was doing the same thing. Everybody, imagine internet, anybody who had a cloud service was trying to grab internet capacity, trying to grab data center capacity, and it was just a proper old bonfire. And I think the people with the most cash probably won in that environment. With us, it's kind of different, okay? We want to make sure that when we're operating, so we have racks in the data centers, it's our hardware, so we absolutely know everything that goes on inside that environment. So this call end to end is on StarLeaf. If something's not good on this call, we own that, okay? I think Zoom, when they had their big outage, basically said, well, Amazon Web Services had an outage in the data center. To us, that's not acceptable, okay? That's not how we keep a Five9's SLA, okay? So just to give you an idea what that Five9 is, because someone said we got Five9s, like what does that really mean? So Five9s means that Five9s means that our reliability is 5 minutes and 15 seconds a year, okay? I actually can say that we've never had an outage. We have 16 data centers around the world. The only time we'd actually have an outage is if all 16 data centers went out. You can see in the US, we have a couple of data centers in New Jersey and we have a data center in Santa Clara. I can tell you last week we did a complete maintenance workup on the Santa Clara network and no one even noticed it. We just literally picked all those customers up and pushed them over into our data centers in New Jersey without them knowing. Did our upgrades over on Santa Clara and it's all back online. And that's what we can do that because we own the hardware, the software and the whole piece around that. Okay, that's how you get those SLAs. If you go back to Zoom, for example, and ask for an SLA, they will give you best efforts. We will do our best effort, okay, which I think in a corporate environment is a challenging sell, okay? So that's kind of the stuff about how we scaled up. We were absolutely adamant we were not going to move away from our Five9's SLA, so we've moved up. So it took us probably really 2 weeks to catch up with capacity. Did we have some calls dropped and some people couldn't get video and some, couldn't get some bits and pieces? Absolutely, okay. But the scale of what happened in that period of time was no one could have predicted that. I think we handled it pretty well from our side. So that's the reliability on a global network. And basically what we do is we add new POPs when we need them. Some POPs we put in particular places for data jurisdiction, because there's a big thing about that, especially Europe and the US. We have a data center in Toronto to manage our Canadian customers, because they don't want their pull records or anything to be in the US. Okay, but with us, you can get to choose where. I mean, you could be a US company and say, I don't want to have my data in the US, and we're just running out of Germany because the backbone's ours. So there's no real, we can literally do that because we own that whole piece. Okay, so I'm going to stop there on the actual network on the reliability side. I'm just going to move into security, because there's the same sort of thing here, and unfortunately, I'm going to pull the same people up. Zoom, Microsoft, where's your data being shared? The British government, for example, were doing some Zoom calls, and they're not allowed to do them anymore because the data is going all over the place, and they don't know how secure it is. I think we've all heard of Zoom bombing, where someone gets in a call and drops some stuff in. I don't think that's easy to police anyway. I mean, we're on this call now, right? There's nothing stopping someone sharing some bad content into this call. So we don't sort of pull that up. But where's your data being stored? And if you're a US company, you probably want your data to be stored in the US. That's normally what happens. I know Germany and Switzerland, it has to be stored locally. It has to be accessible there. How do we do this then? So back a couple of years ago, we as a company went through this, and it's a painful certification. Probably took us 18 months. ISO 27001. This means that they looked at everything we do as StarLeaf, all our premises. They look at all our operations. They look at who has access to all our data. They have a look at our customer records, and they basically we're certified to ISO 27001. What that means for us as well is when we're working with a customer like Cdvs, we can certify them to work on our ISO 27001, so they can secure you as a customer. So there's no risk in you working with people like Cdvs. Off the back of this, it's very easy. We always look at the 27001 as the highest standard you can have. Okay, so we get HIPAA compliant off that. We have a lot of healthcare customers, and HIPAA compliance is an absolute for that. Patient records, where they go, confidentiality. So just going to throw that map up once again. The reason we can do this tightly secure is because we own the whole solution, right? From the hardware to end. We're not sharing our software on our Amazon web server where it's got some other people's software on there. Okay, we own the whole piece. That's what gives us that ability to have reliability and really, really, really tight security on everything. So that, I think, is my bit on security and that. So I'm just trying to give you a picture here of, we're very much an engineering company who really believe in security, reliability and stuff. And if that's what you're looking for in a UC provider, definitely chat to us about it, okay? Next thing, multi-vendor environments. So it's funny because before COVID, everybody was, there was a lot of people, we saw a lot of people going a lot for Teams, okay? Because Teams is part of your Outlook, part of your Microsoft stack. Teams, everybody went home with Teams, and then there's an interesting thing that happens with Teams. So we're on a call today and we've got 25 people on here. Every 25 people, individual connections have gone into our cloud somewhere, and then the picture you're seeing on the screen is a single feedback from our cloud that's come back to you. With Teams, for example, they would have 25 streams coming to your PC there, and the rendering's done locally, okay? So a lot of people headed home with an internet connection where the kids are on it, the wives, their partners on it, and they do a 20-party call on Teams and found it was horrible because they're rendering it all, it's edge computed rather than center computed. So there's a bunch of stuff like that. So a lot of those people ended up grabbing some Zoom licenses, grabbing some StarLeaf licenses, grabbing some whatever licenses. And all of a sudden, you've got this multi-vendor environment. So I picked out the big ones here. Blue Jeans, GoToMeeting, Teams, Zoom, 8x8, because a lot of people are using that for their audio side, WebEx meetings. And the best way I can describe how to manage this is, I thought I'd show you, and I did tidy up before it come up. This is my home setup. This is what I'm sitting in front of right now. See all the crap and stuff's behind me, so you can't see that. So I'm a Mac user. I just love my iMac. So I have an iMac there with a separate screen, and then I like to have my video conferencing separate as a separate device if I can. I don't mind if it's a software device or a hardware device. I happen to use a Polycom Studio X30. Okay, so you can buy Polycom are probably. They've been around a lot of years. Before I worked at StarLeaf, I used to work for them. They're probably the best hardware vendor in the world. I don't think anybody is up to their stuff. as soon as you fire up a Polycom system, the first thing you immediately notice is the audio. The audio is just better than anybody's. It's better than StarLeaf audio, I promise you. The audio coming out of Polycom is good. The other things they do, this thing will do some camera framing, so I've switched it off at the moment because it just kind of zoom. But if someone comes and stood next to me, it will frame out to the people. For home users, it has a thing called Acoustic Fence, which is very, very clever. So I'm going to demo that to you. So at the moment, I'm sitting in front of you. Imagine I've got kids running around and stuff, which I haven't. Let me turn on my Acoustic Fence. Hang on, let me do this. Let me do this. So you should be, everybody hear me? Just put a hand up if you can hear me right now. You can hear me fine. Okay, so watch this. If I move over...
Lost voice.
Okay, so that is a thing called... Yeah. That's a really cool thing called Acoustic Fence. So one of the guys that works for me down in Austin, Texas, has got 4 kids running around, and it's crazy. With Acoustic Fence, you can put an acoustic fence around him, so someone could be standing here talking, I could have music on in the room, and you just won't be able to hear it. So it's pretty clever stuff. So I use that as my video system here, but what happens when someone sends me a Zoom call or a WebEx call? And I've had them all. I've literally had them all. At StarLeaf, we have a thing called... Oh, I've moved out of my screen. Bear with me 2 secs. We have a thing called multi-join, okay? So you send me a Zoom invite to my Outlook calendar, and all I do is I forward it to my device here, okay, which has a separate address to me, and my StarLeaf cloud in the background is clever enough. It'll look at the invite, and it'll scrub through it and say, okay, this is the ID for that call. Here's the security number. Let me light a green button for you on my desktop, okay? So that's literally what I do here. So you can send me a WebEx call, anything you want. Green button will light up on my little panel that sits with me here, okay? And I'll do it. So for me at home, and the funny thing is Poly, for example, use Zoom and Teams, and they can send me an invite from that, and I just literally green button and join it from their device, okay? This is kind of the new environment that people want to work from. It's kind of agnostic to what the platform is, but I have a meeting I need to join, okay? The other thing I can do here as well is I can just quickly switch this into device mode, okay? So I can literally plug my laptop in here, and I can use all the facilities of the soundbar piece. I've got the Studio X30, and so the audio, the video, and all those cool things that it does, just plug in my laptop and run it directly off my laptop, okay? If that's what I want to do. So I think...
Mike, there is I think Bob Dubois had a question.
Hey, Mike,
Sorry, Bob.
so your device, is that a iPad or Windows OS, or what kind of device is that?
It is a TCA. It is a Polycom TCA. So it's a panel, it's an Android panel that comes with it.
Perfect.
I think they package them up. You can buy them with a remote control. You can buy them with a hard panel light. It's funny. I kind of like to have my videos separate because, especially when you're sharing, I like to see what I'm sharing before I share it and stuff like that. And I think sometimes if you're on a single screen on a PC, how many times have you been in a call and people have got all these tabs open and stuff like that, and you might see confidential stuff you're not supposed to be seeing? So I like to see what I'm going to show you, then show it to you, okay? So I just use the TCA panel. I mean, you could put that directly into a room-based environment. So this is what we're starting to see do. Our collaboration with Polycom is bringing us to this place. Poly have a range of products that, you know, X30, X50, G7500, and they'll fit any type of room. And you'll be able to walk in those rooms, you'll be able to just use StarLeaf, so you could just walk in a room. If someone's giving you an email address or an IP, just dial that out and use StarLeaf for that. And if you've got someone sending you a Zoom invite or a Zoom invite, a WebEx invite, anything like that, just forward it to the panel in the room. Well, you'll get the call there on a green button. Last case is pick up the USB connection, and then you're good to go. Plug that into your PC. There's a bunch of reasons why it's better to run a video on a codec than running it on your PC. And I'm not going to go into all that now, but I just guess if you run Teams on your laptop and you've got lots of people on the call, you'll notice that the fan kicks off and it's like a little mini hovercraft on your desk. That's because you're just using the processing power. So actually running video on a separate codec I think is a great idea, especially in like a conference room environment. So that's our thing about multi-join. You're going to go back to an environment where people are going to be using all these different things, and you should be able to join a meeting agnostic of the platform, okay? Working with StarLeaf, Cdvs, and Polycom, we can actually deliver that back into your conference room for you, and it's a really, really simple experience. We know the workflow, if you expect people to do too much, the workflow collapses, okay? They can plug in USB in, fire some software up on their desktop, or just walk in a room and press a green button. mindful that it doesn't matter where the calls come from. That's what we believe that people can do, and that's where we're pushing. That's what our customers are asking us for. Okay, so just to summarize, I think in this day and age now, you need a cloud platform because it's become mission critical. Okay, whereas before maybe 10-15% of your calls and stuff were done out of the office. Now I think a lot more stuff's going to be done from home, mixed environments, vendors with different solutions, stuff like that. You need a cloud service that can give you commit to an SLA with you. We commit to this SLA and we won't do anything to disrupt that SLA. Second thing is security. I think, that's mandatory for everybody. I'll give you an example. We did, over the COVID period, we did a deployment for Lurie's Hospital in Chicago. So they're like a children's hospital feeding in from all the really sick children getting to Lurie's. And so you've got children in bed who can't see their parents and not allowed in for the COVID thing. When you hand that child an iPad, that call better blooming work and it better be safe and secure. Okay, there's no it can be a 90% solution that it's just not acceptable. That's the environment we work really well in. Okay, and then the last thing is, as you move back to the office and you're in a multi-vendor environment, talk to the guys at Cdvs. They're skilled up to be able to help you be able to merge back into those environments and manage the in-office stuff and the external stuff.
Hey,
and
Mike,
with
it's
that,
Bob again.
Hey, Bob.
I got another question. So you speak a lot about video. What about audio and driving the entire environment to your solution versus just video?
So we do audio as well. So we do audio through multiple SIP trunk providers. I mean, just to jump outside the question, when I did that line at the start there, SIP trunk providers were causing most service providers the most grief because they're very contentious on how they do the SIP trunking. That was one of the biggest challenges, was getting, everybody wants to dial in. So with StarLeaf, when you get an invite, we'll send you local dialing numbers from anywhere around the world, and you can interact with your SIP stack in your offices as well. So you can run extensions and stuff like that. So we're happily mix audio and video. You can do audio only or video or mixed. It's quite simple to do that as well.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. And with that, I think I'm kind of finished. I got in front of the time there for you, Joe. So any other questions at all around that?
So I do have a question. So Mike, you spoke about poly equipment. So we do have some folks that are customers of StarLeaf. What about the StarLeaf equipment that they purchased?
So that's even easier for them. It's even easier. So if you're a StarLeaf customer and you want to do, especially on the so you've got all the security and reliability stuff sitting in the background. You can do exactly the same thing on StarLeaf hardware. Okay, so you can forward the invite to the room, which is absolutely fine. Every StarLeaf. So I'm Mike.McCarthy at StarLeaf.com, but I'm also Mike.McCarthy at StarLeaf.cool.sl. So I can just forward anything to that and it'll automatically populate in my multiple devices. The other thing to do is to talk to the guys at Corp.DMS about Pronto. Okay, so it's even easier if you're a StarLeaf customer, StarLeaf hardware customer. Pronto is a cable that sits in the room there and it's got USB and USB. If you go plug that, if you walk into a conference room, just plug that into your laptop. We will go and look at your calendar and we will actually grab the calls out of your calendar and light the green button for you automatically without you doing anything else. Okay, but that's when you have a tightly integrated solution where you own the cloud and the hardware, you can actually do clever stuff like that. When you don't own the hardware, you're reliable on people's what they're allowed to do. So if you're a StarLeaf customer, if you want to try it out, you need the Pronto cable, okay? Because it's not just a cable; it's actually got a little processor in line, and literally what it does is it goes and looks at your Outlook calendar, and it'll scrub. It doesn't matter if you've got WebEx calls, whatever the calls are, it will scrub and work out to like the green button. Drop the green button on your panel, and if you've got 3 or 4 stacked up, it'll show them all on the StarLeaf panel as well. So you've got the best of both worlds there. It's smarter with a StarLeaf deployment, but it still works with a Polycom deployment as well.
So just to be clear, you'll continue to sell hardware, StarLeaf,
absolutely,
but
absolutely.
This Polycom relationship is new.
It's a new relationship for us. We kind of get that we need to get into a wider marketplace. So backing on with Polycom, who's the strongest brand in the marketplace, is really good. Probably 50% of the hardware sitting out in the marketplace is Polycom hardware. So we chose them as our partner to go to market on their hardware solution. But absolutely, StarLeaf are not moving away from hardware ourselves. We still believe in that tightly integrated solution where you own the hardware and the service. And we can do some much cleverer stuff than other people. You know, we really can. Just give you an example. On your telephony, you can do hunt groups and stuff like that. We do that within the StarLeaf cloud. If you use the StarLeaf endpoints and StarLeaf software, you can't do that on anybody else's solution, okay? So we have a lot of telephony functions in the cloud if you're using StarLeaf to StarLeaf in that tight integrated solution.
Excellent. I appreciate that. Any other questions for Mike at this point before we turn it over to the folks over at Five9? All right.
No raffle prize questions, Joe.
Well, we had a few from Bob, I believe. So, yep, we're good.
Bob's on the leaderboard at the moment.
He is. All right. Fantastic. Mike?
No, I
turn it over to you.
Thanks, Joe. Can you see my screen okay?
It went away. I did see it for a moment.
Okay. Try that again.
You've got multiple screens there.
Yeah.
No pressure, Mike.
No pressure. This worked great before we started, right?
And it worked great Monday when we tested. Right?
Yeah. All right. So let me
use some help from StarLeaf with his conference.
I know, right?
This is what I talk about, the ease of use piece, right?
There you go.
Yep. Am I good?
You're good.
All right.
All yours.
All right. Thank you.
Now, yep.
Perfect. So Joe asked me to cut this down. Originally, we had 75 slides for you today, but Joe asked us to cut this down a little bit. So it's going to be just 4 or 5 slides of some interesting information, as well as Paul with the demo. So quick introduction. We've done that already. We're going to talk about modern CX, right? And you know, we in technology, we love our acronyms, right? And what the hot acronym right now is CX, customer experience. We're going to explain that a little bit. We're going to actually go through a use case of a customer that went through a customer journey, maybe similar to what you guys are facing right now, and kind of why they ended up at Five9, and then the quickfire demo. Friends, what we see is the contact center is now the new front door to your business. Think about this. If you're in banking, your locations are closed. If you're in retail, your locations are closed. If you're in manufacturing, the manufacturing floors might be going, but they're not open to visitors or to suppliers or to possible new customers. So what happens, right? What happened was this fundamental shift to the contact center as being that new front door to your business. They are your voice, they are your face, they are your text, right? They are your digital channels, how you do business. And we live in something called this switching economy. And what that means is customers expect the right answer the first time, whether it be chat or whether it be voice, right? And they expect it done quickly. Not just the right answer, but the right answer done quickly. And we've seen this time and time again from all of our customers coming back. So here we are, we're in this mode of, okay, we have to give a great contact center experience, great customer experience, but how do you do that, right? So all experiences are not created equal. Here at Five9, our platform is based upon this math equation, if you will, that what we want to do is we want to create a great customer experience. But that's not enough. In order to do that, you really have to uplift that agent experience, right? You add those two things together and you get this great human experience. And we use the term empathy a lot here at Five9, right? How do we humanize that customer experience, right? How do we make a customer loyal and not switch from vendor to vendor to vendor, but stay with us? How do we not just push people through a queue, press 1, press 2, press 3, but actually humanize that and know who that customer is, know what they've bought before, know that they've chatted with us and texted with us and emailed us and now calling with us? How do we create a more human experience? And that's what our platform is designed to do. And in the grand scheme of things, you have basically 2 options. You have on-premises, which has lasted for a very long time, or you can move to cloud. A couple of things about on-premises that we find. Over 60% of our net new customers come from an on-prem model and move to us. And we've been 100% pure cloud for 20 years, and Dan will go into that. And what's being seen now is the analysts in our space that you rely on for information is validating this. There's lots of stats on this page. I always say that 82% of all statistics are made up to fit whatever point you're trying to make. So I'll let you read the stats. But the key to this slide is the bottom right. Gartner no longer puts a magic quadrant together for premises-based unified communications, PBXs, or premises-based contact center. Think about that. So if you have a premises-based contact center product today, it's as good as it's going to get. Gartner has said those products have reached full maturity, that R&D and new technologies and new ways of working and doing business are moving to cloud-based. And that just validates our position that we've had for the last 20 years. Okay. So who is Five9? And then we're going to talk about a modern CX in the financial services use case. Dan, help us out. Who are we?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mike, for the intro. Folks, this is the stuff that really comes as stakeholder expectations for all of our clients. Because as Mike mentioned, we've got to drive that human experience, not only for the customer, but for the agent. And so rather than go through all of the details here, I'm going to hit a couple of quick highlights. We talk about 20 years of cloud contact center experience. And a lot of us who've talked about our experience on this call and working with many of you know that a 20-year-old in human life is not a lot of experience yet, especially compared to the experience that I've had at my age or the back pains I've had. But in the cloud contact center space, 20 years is an enormous amount of experience. And it's backed up by that point that Mike was driving home. We have been a cloud contact service delivery company from day one. So we have no legacy business. We have no legacy culture to switch or migrate from. We are a proven cloud solution for you and your customers, right? That is backed by recognition from all of the key analysts in our space, Sheila McGee Smith, Gartner, Forrester, the list goes on. What makes us really great is not that we've got a lot of customers, but it's the fact that the customers keep renewing with us and keep coming back for more services and more solutions. And that's obtainable by our ability to deliver a reliable and stable product that is available when their customers are trying to reach them, coupled with the ability to deliver all of the compliance they need. GDPR for international, PCI for payment information, HIPAA compliance for healthcare industries, right? All of that, SOC 2 compliance, type 2, all of that vetted by annual and biannual reviews and updates to make sure that we are current and available to deliver the compliance that is required by your customers. We also do that in conjunction with our partnership, which is towards the right here. You'll see some very familiar names: Salesforce, Dynamics, ServiceNow, Verint, CallMiner, Zoom, Fuse, Microsoft, StarLeaf, right? All of these folks are delivering wonderful tools and platforms that give you that collaboration that Mike McCarthy taught you all about, and how to get that quality of voice and that interaction from your conferencing. We use our partners to fill out those obligations and requirements for our customers. They're not specific to the contact center because that is our laser focus. But all of these tools help us deliver a better experience. Next slide, Mark. What I'm really excited to talk to you about is a couple of things. One, the here and now. Today, what we deliver is, Mikey was talking about the customer and the agent experience. Well, in the middle, Five9 leverages all of those partnerships, the tools, the information, to make sure that your customers, as they are requesting interactions with your company, whether it be a web-based interaction, a chat, text-based interaction, which includes email, chat, SMS, or voice-based, I want to get to the right solution or right companion on the other side that can have that conversation with me, whatever medium that is, voice or text-based. But it's beyond that. It could be a chat bot, which is AI. It could be a subject matter expert, because I'm calling out a specific product or tool or solution. Or maybe I'm a premier white glove customer and I have to go to a specific group. I got to make sure that I match that agent experience with that customer experience to drive that human experience home. And that's done through those integrations in the tool of Five9 to play matchmaker, if you will, in a simplified format, but leveraging all of that information to intelligently route, to provide chatbots where appropriate, to give reporting and analytics so I can manage my business, all in an easy-to-use interface so that my agents, supervisors, administrators can continue to adapt and modify my solution as my customers' needs modify and change along with my business, whether it be through acquisition or just change in the market expectation. COVID being probably the most relevant and most current demand of that. That changed people's expectations, as both Mikes talked about, from all of our customers and our business to behave differently. Well, being nimble and cloud-based, Five9 didn't miss a step. We actually grew exponentially because of that occurrence. I'd love to say it was because of a non-pandemic, but the pandemic did drive the fact that many customers weren't prepared for a 100% remote workforce. And it requires folks like StarLeaf and Five9 to accommodate and not slow that business down. We're able to do that for our customers. Now imagine a world where not only do I have that solved, but I got an agent now that can in real time see the transcript of my voice conversation and be fed direction and information. Hey, your cadence is too slow. Pick up the conversation. Or that pause was longer than necessary. Please interject. Or providing intelligence through AI with Google AI, one of our key partners, to give your agent the assistance on the information they need to give the proper answer so I can resolve that customer's problem, not only in one call, but more efficiently on that one call, and potentially transfer them to say, hey, I also recognize that here are some potential products you haven't purchased from us that would be very complementary to the services and solutions that you have from our organization. That is the evolution of the future. But here's the beauty. That future is today for Five9, because if you had seen our CX Summit yesterday, we announced both Five9 Voice Stream and Agent Assist, which leverage Google AI and our partners like Cogito to do those very exact things, to intelligently, in real time, help your agents better deliver solutions to your customers for more fruitful and more beneficial interaction, driving your bottom line for your organization. That's what Five9 is focused on, and that's where we're headed, and we're there today, which is really awesome. So feel free to look up those announcements, reach out to Mikey and I to get more information on that. And with that, I'm going to move it over to Paul, but just quickly hit here on a financial services use case.
Hey, Dan, before we do move over, sorry.
Yeah, question.
Yeah. Oh, good. Let's get the question, and I'll hold mine.
So, like Google Voice, when we're working at a bank, and if a customer calls in, it could actually filter out that call and determine, it could caller information already and provide account information to the caller or to the customer. And then at that point, they could it'll actually collect all that information and would be able to send to the appropriate party. Is that one of the options? Correct.
Yeah, a couple things. Not only can we do that, but we can also use that voice stream to do fraud protection and authentication prior to sharing that information, so they don't have to. They can match that voice stream, right, and authenticate that in real time, provide that information, and then also document that information into their CRM for their records and archive requirements as that financial institution, and trigger follow-up workflow in an automated fashion, whether it's documents that we sent out or scheduling the next call, all in a single transaction. And that's the beauty of leveraging this AI technology, is to know what are the proper responses, authentication, information, as well as recording that information for document and archive purposes for bettering that customer experience. Really good question. Next question, please.
I have another question.
Go ahead, Tony.
Is this done with SIP trunks? Is this how you're providing it, with SIP trunks?
Correct. And Paul can go into the technology of some of that. We're not going to be demoing that today because that was just announced yesterday. Okay. We're doing the core platform, but there's different voice streams and SIP trunks in modern voice technology to allow us to do that. Google AI and Google Voice is one of the key partners. Cogito is another one I mentioned in that example, as well as ValidSoft for authentication and voice recognition. those are just some examples. There are other partners that do those things that we work with as well. In that example I was talking about is what we demoed during the CX Summit yesterday.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And for time, do we want to go ahead and move to the demo, or do you want me to quickly go over the use case? And I think, Joe, you had a question as well?
Yeah, I had one question. So some of the things, some of the items that you just spoke about seems like they're pretty sophisticated. How large of an organization, or can these items scale down, or are these only for large organizations?
No, really great question. I'm glad you asked, because I probably should have addressed that as well. It really depends on the importance and the value of the customers in that business. But we see customers small as well as large taking advantage of technologies, because while they are very sophisticated and sound like mammoth projects, they don't have to be, because the technology is getting so advanced. They can apply in one area of your business or one area of improvement. And as you may know from working with us, Joe, our methodology with working with your customers, right, with your agents' customers, is that we don't try to go in and flash cut and boil the ocean all at once. Really, what works best for organizations in our experience is that you start by getting the foundational platform onto modern technology, and you get vast improvements right out of the gate with a Five9 platform, from an agent experience and integration to CRMs. And you can quickly or patiently layer these advanced technologies in to adopt them in a fashion that works for business. Because as you can imagine, some of this is brand new stuff for a lot of folks. And to try to engineer and solution out how I actually want it to behave and work, and where do these technologies give me the best value of return with my customers, there's some discovery and engineering time to figure out where you want to apply these various technologies. And I'm sure all of us have experienced different chatbots in our life. Some chatbots work really well. Other chatbots kind of raise your frustration and experience. So they need to be done intelligently with experience. And with our partners and our experience, like Google, like Cogito, that are doing this and engineering this for many years now, we can help you with the thought process to get to that starting point and then layer that foundation for future expansion.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Any other questions? Okay. I know time-wise we want to get to the demo, and I don't want to cut that short. There is a case study there, but really it fits some of those things we talked about. It's a large regional bank institution here that you'd all be very familiar with. Happy to go into more detail that with follow-up, but I'd love to transfer to Paul now so we don't cut him too short on time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you
absolutely. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate that. Let me get my screen shared here. Let's see. Not sure which screen is screen one. Let me know if I have the right screen shared.
Yeah, that's ADP.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, guys. So similar to Dan's piece, please feel free to jump in with any questions. What I'm going to try to touch on is a look at the holistic Five9 view for an agent, and then obviously the flip side of that, a lot of folks have remote agents. How do I know what my agents are doing? How do I keep track of that? And then a quick look at the customer side. How are customers actually getting into the platform? So what's on the screen right now is what we call Agent Desktop Plus. It's sort of our flagship product where our agents are actually accessing different types of interactions. It is an omni-channel solution, so we are doing, to Dan's point, calls. Voice is always going to be very, very large to business, but also text-based, email, chat, SMS, and getting into some of the social, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, those channels that even I'm too old to know what some of them even do, and I'm skewing younger on that scale. So we're going to be able to cover all those channels in a single view. To that point, we're also going to be able to embed this in CRM. So things like Salesforce, Zendesk, Microsoft Dynamics, ServiceNow, we can actually take this view, make it smaller, and plop it right into into one of those CRMs, into a perfect view, so you don't have to use two tabs. To that point, let's jump right in and see how it actually looks. So as an agent, when I log in, I get a quick list at my queues. I see what's going on. I see the channels that I'm assigned on the left-hand side. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a call into queue. And, traditionally we would do these demos before COVID in person, and, talking about things like IVR is sexy because you could demo it and do voice response. It's a lot harder to do that remotely, of course. So I will speak to the fact that we do have a full-featured IVR that comes with the solution. So interactive voice response system can be as basic as press or say one, all the way down to tell me what you want, and we will do things like data lookups and et cetera, and get the caller to the right place and automatically route them with any context that we can get from a back-end system to the correct agent. So you'll see here I put that call into queue. I've got one call in queue for 16 seconds. So as an agent, I'm not getting that call right now. I'm currently in a meal status, so we do have built-in codes as part of the platform that can be configured to allow supervisors to see real-time and historically what are my agents doing. So even if I'm not in the contact center with the agents, I can see in my dashboard, as you'll see later, what these agents are actually up to. Are they on the phone? Are they on a chat, etc.? If I go ahead and I go ready, you'll see that interaction is going to route to me. I'm going to have the chance to accept it. And at that point, you'll see I got a screen pop on my screen. So I actually got a screen pop with some data about the caller. So in this process, when I came through that IVR, I said that I had questions about my account. A lookup was done based on my account number or based on my phone number. We populate a whole bunch of data here. And we also have a link to our internal CRM, so I can click this and get a look at the record. So what we're going after here is that CX experience. We want to save time for everybody involved in this. So for the customer, I gave you a lot of information just by calling you. I gave you information by calling. You have my phone number. Maybe I gave you my account number. I don't want that to get lost. I don't want it to get dropped into the abyss. I want that to be displayed to the agent. To the agent, I don't want to have to repeat all these questions. What are you calling about today? What's your account number? Let me see your history. I can populate that all here. I can see the customers, how long they've been a customer for, their last ticket number, their account number, details about them, link to the CRM. It's all at my fingertips, and it's all in an easy to use interface. So the idea here is I've got the ability to pivot back and forth. I've got a voice interaction here, and I can pivot over and I can handle other types of interactions as well. I can handle chats. I can lock into emails and just bounce between interactions very easily with different customers as needed. If this customer wanted an email or I was receiving a chat at the same time. The goal is going to be for the agents that no matter what interactions they're getting, it's all in a single interface. It's all coming through with context. So whatever the customer gives us, we're going to do as many data dips as possible and as much routing as possible to get the right customer to the right agent in as few hops as possible. So a lot of that automation. So if I had a conversation with an IVA and I said I'm looking to reset my account questions, we could fully populate that here, and that could even come through. And using that voice stream that Dan has touched on to validate them, I could even get a note saying this customer is validated, their voice matches the voice print on file, and I wouldn't have to go through any extra questions. I could just help the customer right away. So I'll pause there for a second and see if any questions come up. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So if an agent steps away from their desk and they don't put themselves in an unavailable state, so they're still available for a call, they step away, call rings at that agent's station, does the system capable of logging that phone off or making them unavailable?
Yeah, absolutely. So configurable all around.
Both options would be,
Yes, so both options are the default behavior. It can be configured either way. So default behavior is if I miss a call or say I miss a chat or I miss really anything that's getting routed to me because it's omni-channel, I will get pulled out of queue. I will get pulled out of queue and put into a special code called system, so my supervisor can see that I missed something, and I will get skipped next time. So I won't keep getting interactions routed to me. I would have to go back into queue manually, or my supervisor could move me back into queue. Maybe if they knew that if I was at my desk and I just forgot to move myself back. But absolutely, our ACD is smart enough to just try to ring them for default 10 seconds. If they don't get the interaction, we skip them out and we go to the next person in queue and the next person available.
Okay, this is Tony again. So they're logged out, and then you could actually see it in real time and as well as on a historic report, correct?
Absolutely, yep. That's really the reason we've got these codes here. As the agent, I can set some of these codes, and then there are going to be a couple codes that the agent can't actually pick, and those are going to be what we call system codes. And those are going to exist because we want to be able to report why did they come out of queue? Was it because they chose to come out of queue or because they were forced to come out of queue? Maybe there was same thing, if there's a technical issue and maybe their internet disconnects, we're going to pull them out of queue so that they're not getting interactions routed to them and their internet's not on there. So maybe they don't have the greatest internet connection at home. We don't want to keep trying to send calls to an agent who isn't online. So if we see that they've dropped off, we're going to force them to a not ready state so that they automatically stop getting calls.
Okay, so then if, let's say, an agent forgets to log off in the evening, and we do have the capability of forcing them, logging them off.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Definitely. Yeah, and I do want to kind of call out the fact that all of this is what we've talked about is really out-of-the-box behavior. So things like the IVR, the ACD, the omni-channel routing, the screen pop, the CRM integrations, these are features that we bundle with the solution kind of from the factory, if you will. So nothing extra that we've got to do. We're not doing custom development. Part of implementation is which one of our feature functions do you want to use? Things like call surveys, queue callback, we're not adding those as custom things. Those are just checkboxes. So a lot of these features really do drive, everyone talks about CX. These features really drive CX to the next level because the customer feels like they're actually being helped. So if I go ahead and I wrap up this voice interaction, so if I say, you know what, I'm done with this customer, I've got the ability to set disposition. So I've got the ability to say that, what was this about? These are fully configurable and reportable historically and in real time on the supervisor side. So say this was about a billing question, that'll put me back into queue for other interactions. And if I go back to ready, I can receive other types of interactions. I could receive, for example, right now, an SMS or a real-time chat, and you'll see the real-time interface looks the exact same. And if I actually go to history, I can see this call I just had here. So I can see that Paul's chatting with me or he's SMSing with me, and he just had a call with another agent and he had a question about billing. So Paul, do you have a question about your bill again? I have some canned replies I can send to Paul automatically back and forth. So we've got flexibility across all these channels to be able to not only link the interactions, so as an agent, I can see that history, but also have it all handled via the same toggle. So you'll see I just went right back to ready and I got another type of interaction. I didn't have to go to a different interface or move around elsewhere. So any questions about that so far? No? Okay, we'll keep going. So one other piece I think super important before I flip and I talk about the dashboarding is we've talked a lot about how customers can contact us. And so we've obviously got your standard metrics. We've got chatbot, voice, standard chat. We've got the ability to, click to call. Customer can input their information, send us an email. Customer can input information, route into an email queue. One that I think is really a differentiator and really is becoming very popular with COVID is visual IVR. And that's actually taking an IVR representation. So what would traditionally be, I call in and do you want this, this, or this, and making that in a visual fashion. So say I called into Five9, maybe we ask you, are you calling about our cloud contact center solution? Are you calling about how you can have remote agents, migration to the cloud, or other questions? And this is a web-based representation, so I don't have to call anywhere to get to this. Say I select cloud contact center, we can put some information in here, any kind of FAQ information. And based on the content, let's say that maybe this didn't really answer my question. I do want to speak to a representative. We've got the ability to get a live agent in the method of contact that makes sense for the customer. So I've got the ability as the customer to say, you know what, it looks like it's only going to take a minute for me to get called back. Let me plug in here, put in a 10-digit phone number, and put myself into queue to get called back. Maybe this says it's going to take 10 minutes to get called back because it's real-time updated. Maybe I'll do a live chat or an email. And so it's going to help you, the contact center, and also the customer decide the best method of contact. So instead of, the worst experience is when I go into a live chat and I immediately get a message that says, sorry, all of our agents are unavailable. Well, why did you show me the chat? We've got the ability to hide these channels if no one's available or if it's after hours. So you're really providing a true experience and you're not requiring your customer to go to your website and click chat and then call you at the same time and send an email. And now they've contacted you 3 different ways in the hopes that one of those ways you get back to them the fastest. You're giving them the power of choice here in a flexible fashion with complete ability to brand this and have it route however you'd like. So any questions on sort of the customer side, how they can contact, or the agent experience before I flip over and I talk a little about the supervisor? No? Okay, we'll flip over. Yeah, so any questions do come up, please let me know. So Five9 Supervisor, a lot of information on the screen, and it's intentional to kind of show you the breadth of what we can display here. What we're going after with our supervisor is the ability to have a flexible view. So instead of having this static view of maybe I've got 10 or different metrics I want to watch and I've got to bounce around and show those in different spots, or I've got to go between tabs. We want to make it possible for supervisors to be able to have their own customized view that matches their agents. So now with work from home and remote agents, I've got different groups of agents. I've got all these different queues, and traditionally maybe I could look at a wallboard. Now I want to have that on one single view. So if I'm sitting at home and I've got a screen dedicated to this, I can see all of my metrics in one spot. We do that with widgets. So we actually have the ability to have supervisors add a custom widget. It can be a data table, a single stat, a pie chart, or a bar chart. Once they pick the type of widget, say I want a pie chart, they can pick what data they want. So I can pick, number of active agents that are logged into the platform, number of agents on a chat, on an email, on a preview chat, on video, on SMS, etc. And once I actually save this, so I can go ahead and save this, it'll show up on my screen. I can change the color coding. I can make it bigger. I can make it smaller. And that gets me a view that looks like this. So that gets me a view that shows me number of active agents logged in, number of agents that are ready versus not ready, number of calls in queue, current longest queue time, service level for the current day, number of emails that are in queue, total number of calls that have come in, abandoned calls, records that are available because we do have an outbound dialer built into the solution. And then, of course, I'll look at my real-time agents. If you remember, we're going to come back to this. I can see in real time what's going on with my agents. So I've got Brian. He's not ready. He's been on break for 8 minutes. I've got Gerardo. He's been on after-call work for 21. And then I got a bunch of agents that are ready, waiting in queue. And so I've got the ability to not only see this, but interact with them. If I've got Gerardo on a call, maybe I want to monitor, I can do a real-time listen, and I can hear what's going on with Gerardo's call. So I can be listening to his call. I could do a whisper. I could whisper to Gerardo. I could send him a chat through our system. And I can also barge in. Maybe I really think that he needs a lot of help. He's a new agent. I can just barge in and become a third party on the call and help him out. I've also got the ability to monitor not just voice interactions, but text interactions. So let's say that I'm monitoring Gerardo. I can click into Paul, and I can actually see that he's got a couple of interactions going on. He's got a chat and email, and I can actually click on that chat, and I can live monitor. I can see what he's saying to that customer. I can click on his email. I can see what he's saying to that customer in email, and I can send him a message, and I can give him some coaching and let him know maybe he should handle those interactions differently. And all at the same time, I'm monitoring one agent on voice. I'm monitoring another agent on text-based interactions, and I'm able to see all this historical data, not just real time, but the session history. What kind of calls has Paul been taking? Has it been billing questions? And maybe I want to review his recordings. So I've truly got a real-time view into what's going on with all my agents logged into the platform, and it's all roles-based access. So we can restrict this so certain supervisors can see certain groups of agents. Some supervisors can have a more global view, but all the data is here. And not only the ability to monitor, but also exact change. So maybe I really didn't like how Paul handled this email or this chat. I could actually go into his skill set, so the queue he's assigned, and I could change those around. I could say I want to take away these queues. I just want him to focus on a specific type of interaction, maybe only voice or only text, and take away other queues. And as soon as I hit save, that will take effect immediately. So I've got the ability to not only monitor, but exact change without actually ever having to interact with the agent. I can send them a message to let them know I did it, but I can do that while they're on an interaction. I don't have to interrupt them. It'll take effect immediately. So I'll pause there and open up for questions before I wrap up in the supervisor.
Hey, Paul, this is Joe.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're just touching,
just scratching the surface.
Scratching the surface. Thank you. So part of the implementation, is there a journey that the customers walk through so they can understand what's capable?
Yeah, so we're well aware of every customer is different. Some customers are going to use some of these features, some aren't. We've got voice customers, we've got full omnichannel customers. So the way implementation works is it's a consultative journey. So what we actually do is we come in and we ask you, how does it work today? That's question one. Do you like how it works today? And then here's how it can work in the Five9 world. And then obviously we've got training. We've got a Five9 university that our customers can go through, their agents, their supervisors, and become Five9 certified and how the solution actually works. But part of implementation really is a journey to take them from how does it work today? Do you want to replicate that? And not every customer does. Here's the way that Five9 can improve upon that, both for the customers and the agents and the supervisors. And are you interested in doing any of these other things? And that's why we've got all these features, because we want to give our customers the choice to say, I want to use these features, or I just want to stick with what I was already doing in my existing platform.
All right, thank you.
I have a question. This is Tony.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the callback functionality, when a customer leaves a message in the callback queue, it will hit an agent. Obviously, it will pop up on their dashboard.
Yep.
Typically, it could stay on that station's dashboard or go to the next agent and the next agent and so on. Is that correct? There's probably some type of timer for each station. If they don't answer that callback queue call, it'll bounce around. What are the functionalities if there's 3 agents all logged in at the same time and all 3, it skips to 3 of the agents but doesn't get answered? Where would that caller or callback option go next?
Yeah, that's a good question. So you're correct. We are using the ACD to route callbacks. So they do route just like that inbound call that I showed you. It'll look the exact same except for a minor note to say that it's a queue callback and you're going to dial out to the customer. We've got a lot of flexibility with what we can do with those calls. If we run out of places to route it to, we could try a different queue with a backup group of agents. Obviously, the easiest option is continue to wait. That may not be acceptable. Typically, in the supervisor, we're going to display that. We're going to show in here, how many queue callbacks are in the system, how long have they been waiting, so that supervisors have the ability to see that and maybe toggle agents in and out of queues. We've got the ability to set up automatic targets for backup destinations, and we could even go all the way down to an automated call to the customer or sending them a text message saying, hey, we can call you back in 1 hour. Is that okay? We've got a lot of flexibility because we're omni-channel to really make sure that we've got the ability to get to that customer if they went to the trouble of giving us a queued callback. So definitely a lot of flexibility and options.
And I have one other question. So if customer calls in, and if they hit the call center and it'll give you a prompt, all agents are currently assisting, the call is you could wait in queue, or can it give the option to the caller if you would like us to, call you back at a later date instead of staying in queue, and then obviously the person or the caller would enter their telephone number. Does it have that option in there as well?
Absolutely, yeah. So we've got 3 options. We've got wait and queue, which is the standard wait. We've got voicemail, which skill-based voicemail, so very common. I leave a message, I get routed to an agent listens to the message and calls me back. And then we've got the behavior you just talked about, which is queue callback, where we can actually tell the customer the current wait is 10 minutes estimated. We will call you back in about 10 minutes. We can read them back the number that they called from, confirm it's that one. They can enter another one, and then they can actually hang up, and we will just call them back when their place in queue comes up to the agent. It's seamless. We can also do scheduled callback, so the customer could say, I'd like to be called back tomorrow at 9 a.m., and we will queue that up for a callback the next day at 9 a.m. So we've got a couple different flavors of how we could do that. Absolutely.
That's a very good feature. Very good feature to have.
Absolutely, yeah. We find with COVID and people are calling contact centers more. Now that they can't go into places, the contact center is exploding. We find that customers are leveraging one or more of those at the same time rather than just one. After hours, it's voicemail only, but then during the day, they give customers more of a choice. Leave a message or schedule a call back, or just wait 10 minutes and we'll call you back. And we can interoperate all of those.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely. Of course, definitely. Yeah, and I actually think I'm just about to wrap here. I think the only final point I'll give is we do have alerting built into the solution. So even if you're not looking at the screen, we are going to be able to have the supervisors be notified. I've got maybe 5 queue callbacks and no agents available, and we can do that notification via color coding, via pop-up in their browser, via a sound in their headset or speakers, and via an email or a text message that's sent to them. So that way, even if as a supervisor I'm not looking at my screen, or I'm away from my desk, I'm at lunch, or I'm in a long-running meeting, I'm in a Zoom, and it's taking up my whole screen, I can still get notified, hey, there's something going on in the contact center. You should look at this, so I don't always have to be staring at it. And with that, I will flip it back to Dan. I think he has a couple final pieces, and hopefully you guys got quite a bit out of this, and any questions that come up, very happy to answer them.
Yeah, we want to thank you all for letting us participate. Thank you for Corporate Data and Voice for hosting this. As a quick summary, Mikey started off talking about the industry changes, right? It's about human experience now, and the demands from our customers are continuing to increase and evolve, right? And so what Paul was able to show you is how our product can give the agent the tools to service your customers better, give your supervisors the real-time data information so they can see what's going on and make adjustments in real time, as well as the historical data, so as an organization, we can make adjustments and make decisions to improve our business. And I talked a bit about the holistic solution of the product, but also where the future is going, which for Five9, the future is now, but that we recommend starting with a foundational approach to get, basically your ship in order so you can build and accelerate effectively without disrupting your current course of business by taking that implementation process of crawl, walk, run, so we can get all the tools, replicate what you got, but get improvements on your ROI so that human experience for your customers keeps them coming back and keeps them engaging more with your organizations that you're servicing. So with that, I'm going to conclude there and turn it back, I believe, to Joe. And I want to thank you again. Any questions, anything you want to see in greater detail? We're here to help.
Fantastic. Thank you. Appreciate for all the great information, all the great questions. So Tony and Bob specifically, we're going to add some extra names to the hat here. So hold on, let me make sure we mix them up. But I guess we are rounding, we are hitting the 12:15 time that we mentioned. So what we'll do is please, everyone has the ability and knows how to get a hold of us. If you have some follow-up questions, shoot us an email. obviously we'll be also reaching out to people to make sure they got what they expected out of the session. So the first raffle, Andrea, we'll let you. Are you there? Okay. So what are we giving away from StarLeaf, Andrea?
So we have a $100 Amazon gift card.
Okay. Well, interestingly enough, so Tony, I'm not surprised that you want a gift card, right? So there you go. Tony,
Thank you.
Tony, you only can win one, so let's see if we can find another winner in here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I said, Tony, you only can win once. So
wow.
Here's the luck.
Time to buy the lottery ticket, Tony.
And that's the next raffle prizes?
Steve Tucker. Steve, you still on with us?
Thank you. Great.
All right. So you have to be on to win. So Steve, Tony. So Five9. What was the raffle item?
A nice pair of headphones.
Oh, excellent. All right.
We're in a COVID video world, right? So
Mike, those are going to be new headphones.
Actually, you don't win them right off my head.
Autograph.
Yeah, no, I'll get them over to Kelly, and then she can forward them on for sure.
All right, excellent. So again, thank you so much. Thank you for sticking with us. We did get some notes that people had to address some emergencies, but thank you. A reminder: our next Tech Talk Live event is October 14th. So if you're interested in SD-WAN or Unified Communications as a Service, we have our BigLeaf, our partner BigLeaf, as well as 8x8 will be joining us then. So thank you. Appreciate everybody's time. It's an interesting time, right? So appreciate it. You all have a great day, and we'll be talking soon.
Thank you, Joe.